Hi, I'm Ryan from Dentsply Sirona. I'm at the Decoding Digital Dentistry event with Steve Cambell. Steve, if you'd like to introduce yourself before we get started and tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here at this event. I'm Steve Cambell. I'm a lab owner. I'm the president of the Dental Laboratories Association and an ex-co member of the British Association of Aesthetic Dentistry. So I'm pretty busy at the moment.
Pretty busy. So Steve's had a long relationship with Dentsply Sirona. So if you don't mind telling us a bit about how your relationship started with Atlantis and a bit of the story from the beginning, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. I was very fortunate actually many years ago. I got involved in the launch of Atlantis. It used to be in the US. It was brought over to Europe and I was very lucky that I was in one of the early trial phases. And then there became a point in my career where I decided that I wanted to go completely digital, try everything just from scratch. So I launched a new laboratory. And in that laboratory we decided it was going to be nothing but digital workflow. Now for me, the obvious first starting point was Atlantis.
And how did you come to that decision to choose Atlantis for your workflow?
Well, there was only three of us. There was myself, Ian Baldwin and Lisa working with as a ceramist. So I knew that the most critical thing we had was time. We had to be able to provide amazing results to our clinicians, but time was never going to be on our side. Now, I'd known from experience working with Atlantis, perfect quality, great consistency. I wasn't going to have to worry about remakes or issues. So I thought, okay, this is how we're going to start. It works. It just works. And that was the simple answer. So I knew I wasn't going to worry about milling machines or other things not working. I'm just going to work with the team in Mondale or in Hasselt for the frameworks, and that's going to come to us. And then it's just for my team to then do the detailing and finishing. So it was really simple because you know when you're starting a laboratory, you've got a set limited budget. And it kind of came out of me from nowhere, the launching of the lab, because I decided to walk away for a bit. I was actually tempted to work in training and support, as you do. Yeah. But I was actually tempted back in by some clinician friends who said, look, no, you really should start another lab. So I thought, okay, well, I've got a limited budget here. So most people would have thought what you would do is you would, just sort of scrimp and save and go low. But I thought, no, we've got to go premium. I want to work with the best clients. I want to deliver the best results. So we're going to go with a premium product. So Atlantis was it for us. But we knew we were going to get that time efficiency straight out of the box. I knew I was going to get the quality control straight out of the box. And I knew from experience that using the web editor, I could completely control those abutments and make it my own custom. So every abutment you get from us is a custom abutment. Yeah. I'm an old school technician at heart. I know people think I'm digital, but I've waxed up endless amounts of cast gold custom abutments. So I looked at that and thought, I haven't got time for that when we're trying to run an efficient, effective business. That's just not going to happen. And I think a lot of smaller labs are tempted to think, but it's cheaper to cast my own custom abutments, and maybe I can do it better with a cast custom abutment, because it's a tool they're used to. But actually, the truth of the matter is, it isn't more efficient, and it isn't really cheaper, because if you look at all of the labour and time, especially now the cost of alloy, it's more expensive, but it's very labour intensive. And you just can't afford to have that kind of long dead labour time from a highly skilled technician these days.
And do you think that's made a big difference when you were growing the laboratory to have the team of Atlantis helping you out? Like you said, that being an extra part of the team and having them there to help you grow the lab, which has grown a lot in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't a big part, Lee. It was fundamental to our success. I've on many occasions made this abundantly clear. We are successful because we chose to work with the right partners at the beginning, delivering the best products we could. And the key part there, we work now it's a global economy. I could, of course, work with any number of different milling centres all around the world. There is something exceptional about the way the Atlantis works in that I can jump on it, as we did this morning before we came in. I was sat there doing Atlantis abutments. So I'm doing that, going back to the team in Mondale, and it'll be back with a core file with my team in Ripon or Harrogate in about 2 or 3 hours' time. They will then be doing all of the detailed crown work on top. it's why we were so successful. It's why we went from 3 people to 24 people in 3 to 4 years. It's been a phenomenal growth. But again, I think why we've had people keep coming back and we keep getting referrals is because of the long-term results as well. They're seeing beautiful aesthetic results day one, but our level of chipping, cracking, failures. If you do a chrome milled abutment, you've got a lot of labour there, and then opaquing it, then layering it, then detailing it. But if you look at the figures for fractures and breakages, the highest amount of them is around the access hole. Well, if you're going to use Atlantis, the secondary structure can be one of these fantastically translucent zirconias, bit of staining, so you can still do facial layering, but the area around the access hole now isn't weak ceramic, it's strong zirconia, it's very robust. So what we're not seeing, even now 5-6 years in, we don't see a high incidence of what you used to see a lot of in labs, which was chips, fractures, things coming back. That's lost chair time for the surgeon.
Yep.
Bit of a knock for confidence with the patient, because it's like, oh, it broke after 3 years. Well, will it break again? You know yourself, sometimes your confidence gets eroded.
Absolutely. And then do you think you've seen other benefits to the lab and for the clinicians, and what the clinicians are receiving back after a certain amount of time with these abutments, and how is it benefiting your clinicians and helping you with your workflow?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I am incredibly grateful that we work with some of the best surgeons in the UK, and they have very demanding patients, and we are trying to give the best results. Now, I know there are so many skilled ceramists out there, and they can make an amazing crown. But when you look at implant work, 3 years down the line, you don't look at the crowns anymore, you look at the tissue architecture. And you can tell if that starts to drop or move, it's normally the giveaway, you've lost the symmetry. Now, what we now know, and there's lots of studies backing this up, is if you're going to use titanium or zirconia deep submucosal, you're going to get that semi-desmosonal attachment. Now that is awesome, because we now know that what is happening is the tissue, when it's cleaned and prepared and delivered correctly, is actually attaching to the abutment. So you're getting stable tissue architecture. Martin Wanendeya, Philip Friel, Tim Doswell, just to name a few surgeons, keep showing me amazing images of, because it takes, sometimes these surgeons have spent so much time getting that tissue architecture. They might have done bone augmentation, tissue work to get it there. We don't want it then to just shoot off because of the wrong mucosal material, like layered ceramic or acrylic or chrome. We're seeing that stay. So that's their great surgical work with a great product, and I think very good technical work from our team as well, understanding the emergence, which you can control in the web editor. We see long-term results. So every time I see those pictures coming back, it just reinforces that we made the right choice at the beginning. It's weird. We definitely didn't make it on a pen and paper financial, okay, this product versus this product. We looked at all of the benefits to us in efficiency.
But as you said, you want to offer premium. And
exactly.
Starting with premium.
But it actually has ended up being the best business decision we ever made, because we are free to do more very good cases, and we're seeing long-term results. So the best bit about that is we don't see chips coming back in at that instance they used to, because if I've only got a limited technician team, and we all know now, and I'm speaking to all technicians out there, there is a massive coming crisis in our industry because we don't have enough technicians. The average age of the UK technician is currently 54. We're due to lose 50% of our highly skilled technicians in the next 5 years. So you need to find a way to work efficiently and effectively and still deliver the highest quality medical devices for your clients.
As we discussed earlier as well, I think since 2019 there's been a drop in technicians of 14%. So, and if this keeps going, how has Atlantis, over the years, you've obviously seen changes through Atlantis, but how has that affected your workflow for what you're going to be doing in the future? If there is less technicians coming in, what are you going to change with your workflow, and how are you going to move forwards with it?
So this kind of is my call to arms to all the labs and technicians out there. You're going to find you're going to be overwhelmed with demand for work. There's just not enough skilled technicians going to be there. So what you need to do is look at all of your team and understand, okay, how can I do the most with this team? We still want to deliver the best quality medical devices on the market. You still want that consistency. So you've got to look at it, it's like, well, there's some deep inefficiencies, unfortunately, in old analog workflows. With Atlantis, we can do 3 to 4 times as many Atlantis abutments in a day as I could do when I used to do cast abutments or trimming old stock abutments, and then all the compromises that come with it. So this really is why I would like the lab industry to embrace digital. It will be the most powerful tool that helps you deal with the overwhelming demand that's coming your way. And it sounds like a great thing, doesn't it? Oh, you're going to be in such high demand. Well, it isn't, because with that comes higher stress levels.
Yeah.
You can't have your team burn out. You need to make sure we can still deliver the best. And that is where our choice with Atlantis has always seen as well. So I've been talking about growth. You might not want growth, you might just want consistency. I think we should be prepared that we may well be losing technicians over the next 5 years, especially coming up to 10 years. So we have to look at it and think, okay, even if I don't want growth, I still want to be able to deliver and supply the surgeons I've enjoyed working with. But if I'm going to lose 2 or 3 key members of the team, what do I do? Well, what you do is people call it outsourcing, we call it smart sourcing. Basically, our team in Mondal and Hazel, which are the Atlantis frameworks and abutments team, I see them as my team. They just don't happen to be where I am. As we were sat this morning, I'm working in London, communicating with my team in Ripon and Harrogate via the Slack channels and my clients, and sending work over to Mondal. The world has changed. And I think the mentality we have needs to change if we want to be a very strong, stable business of laboratories that are able to support the demands of the surgeons. And more and more surgeons, as they come in, the surgeons we'll deal with in 10 years' time, what are the tools they're using now? They're not using putties, they're using prime scans.
Exactly.
So we've got to be ready for this and help them in that respect.
So leading on to what you were saying about prime scans, I know that you've been doing the beta testing for the bridge base.
Yes.
So talking about growth and consistency in the lab, can you tell us a bit of your experience with bridge base and tell everyone exactly what it is?
Yeah, okay, so bridge base, if you've worked with Atlantis, you get the core file, or custom base, you get a core file. Bridge base is exactly that. So you take full arch structures, maybe 3-unit bridges, and what we're doing now is we're getting a core file back, and we're able to now put those same materials we talked about, some of these amazing, multi-layer transzirconias on there. Yeah. And that takes away, again, the chipping, the breaking issue, and it allows us to mimic a try-in that we've made. We can clone that on top of the core file. So again, the time saving on an abutment's huge, but on a full arch, it's phenomenal. But what we're also seeing, more robust, great aesthetics. And I think that's going to make it more predictable to give these results. Martin Wanendeya has some stunning bridge-based cases that we've been very fortunate to work with him on. And that's opened my eyes to, that's a new level of efficiency.
Do you think when you move forwards in the future with this workflow, as you receive more of these kind of cases, you're going to be treating it the exact same way as your custom abutments?
I think that's exactly where the market's going to go.
Because the workflow is the same. You get your core file with it, you get it ready to mill. It's almost a large custom abutment.
It is
the same.
It's everything we want it to do. We want to make sure we know we can get the aesthetics right. Some of the great digital tools now allow us to very quickly get a scan in from Martin Wanendeya or one of our other users, and then we will, in that time, throw him back a proposition. We can set the teeth up in 3D relatively quickly these days, and then from that we have a very good discussion about what we might be looking to deliver for Martin on immediate load days with his team who does the immediate loads with him. But the best bit for me is once they've got that stabilized, once we've got that captured, I know with a bit of refining and the final scan, I'm literally just going to clone that. So we don't have the unpredictability of a full arch bridge. Your team has worked so hard getting that all the way through, and then you get a phone call from the practice. The patient doesn't like it because those laterals don't look like the provisional they've been wearing. Oh, it's a heart stopper. Because your heart just sinks. There's a high risk you put those big frameworks back in the furnace. It might fracture, you might have problems. We don't have that now. What the patient's approved is what we clone on. with the core file technology.
Yeah.
It's going to make full arches much more predictable.
And we know that full arches are more popular,
We're
and they are
seeing
growing and growing.
huge growth now in immediate loads, which then transition to full arch reconstructions. We're seeing so many more of them, but I think now we've got the combination of the right materials.
And I think in the workflow as well, also with bridge base, but with superstructures, the key thing with Atlantis is, the design is done for you.
Yeah.
And adding that into your workflow, like you said, you want the consistency and you want time. You want your technicians to be focusing on the final aesthetics.
Yeah.
And
so when we talk about the design, this is one of the things that I've always said to people when they're like, okay, yeah, but I could just open Exocad and I could just open and completely design a full abutment and then send it to any milling center. Yeah, I can, but I'm not guaranteed to get the efficiency I get. What I get with Atlantis, and why we use them all the time, is I have my team scan it, we upload it, or it comes in from the surgeon, then we upload it. I've had a team already do the bulk of the design. What we do is what we call 5% refinement. I know each of my clients' preferences when it comes to cleaning space, tissue pressure, what they're going to look for. So I'm literally then dealing with Mondal or Hazel with just 5% refinements. So that's the bit, if you're a technician, it's yours as well, because you still have the control to make it your structure the way you would like to deliver it. But somebody's done, no disrespect to my team in Mondal and Hazel, but somebody's done the sort of bulk hard labour, if you like, of all that.
And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just now picking it up, doing the refinement, and then we get, the best result out of it. That's the trick.
And I'm not sure how many you did this morning when we were having a chat.
Well, that's it. This is the thing. We're sat there having a little bit of a chat over coffee, and I'm just working away in the background. And there's 2 or 3 just popped out. Just while we're working. Now, the best bit is I literally take 5 minutes maximum to do any adjustments. It's normally 2 minutes. It's open, maybe some slight changes to the margins, a little bit of a curvature and change, and that's it. But I don't see that as a detriment to the designer in Sweden, because the guys in Sweden are dealing with a global market. And as we know,
specific.
You've been a technician, even with your own client base,
Absolutely.
Each of those clients has a different preference. So they're giving me an absolutely awesome starting point. My then local knowledge is where we take that tweak. That's why it takes 2 minutes.
You tweak it for your clients,
exactly,
and then it's
for
ready
each
to go.
of them. And then we're just absolutely flying. And that's the real magic of it, because I'm doing it there. It's web-based, so I don't need some specific software there. It has to be powerful. And if I were to do it on 3Shape or Exocad, I need the dongle, I need a good powerful PC. That's web-based. I've done it off a Chromebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've literally, it doesn't matter where I am. If I can get data, I've connected to my phone.
And that's full digital workflow.
Full digital workflow.
And then you've got the next step, which is full arch scanning.
Yep.
Which is, what do you think is going to happen with the full arch scanning in the next years, months? But what's it going to do for your workflow?
See, this is always going to be an awkward one for me, because for years and years, I think it's been kind of accepted that, look, it's great for single units and small spans, but we've always said it just doesn't have that last missing bit to get the full arches going. So
and there comes Prime Scan.
Came along with his Prime Scan, and he said, do you know what? We've got an exciting project here, and we're going to be able to trial this. And I did say to him, I said, Martin, I just don't think it's going to work. Because we've seen every other scanner on the market. We've worked with every scanner possible. Yeah. And I just said, look, Martin, I just don't think it's going to work. And he said, oh, come on, Steve, I think it will. And I said, okay, well, look, hey,
we'll give
I'm
it a
more
go.
than happy to give it a go. And my jaw hit the floor when each of those first 4 cases actually went in. And it wasn't just like getting it back and doing a resin jig. We spoke to Cedric and the guys back in Hazel, and we said, look, you've got the file, you've got everything. Would you do us a favour, because these are the first, would you make us a metal fitting jig? We want to know, as a verification jig, is it really passive?
Yeah.
And they all fitted. Now that, to me, kind of helped me change my mindset. And I think that's what part of this is. I'm asking technicians to change their mindset from analog to digital. But I've also got to keep an open mind that as the technology progresses, as we see Prime Scan and some of the amazing things it can do come more to the fore, this full arch scanning will become something we can do. So I think what will happen is we can have full arch scanning straight to the team in Hassel. They can do a lot of the bulk start work, get it back to me. We can get a provisional prosthesis planned as well at the same time, because the libraries are open from you guys with FlowS. I can build my own model.
Yep.
I can do a try-in. I can get some stuff done there at the same time.
You can do the full digital workflow.
You can.
For the first time?
For the first time. I can still choose to just have it all done in the PMMA, straight back, quick trial. Are we happy? Yes, capture that. Let's add that to the data set over in Hassel. We're actually looking at being able to deliver full arches or large span bridges. I still think that PMMA try-in is essential, and it's
Absolutely,
good. It's great that you've allowed the labs to be able to still do that, because I still think it can look great, but we're dealing with a human being. They need to put it in. I need to know it's got good cheek support, good lip support. They're not lisping, they're not like spitting. Once you've got that confidence, I'm more than happy then to say, hey, let's go for it. Titanium framework, zirconia on top. So I think it's going to be a paradigm shift. We're so lucky, really, that we're alive to see an industry change so quickly. And I think we touched on this earlier on.
We spoke about...
It's not going to be this slow, gradual ramping. You see this with all digital technologies. It becomes compound. It's just like boom, then boom, then boom, then
You've
boom.
had the last 15 years where it's been going up and up.
Yeah.
And
now it feels like we really are on this full upwards trajectory.
And everyone really does need to get on board with being digital. It's the way the industry is going.
It's the way the world has been going for a long time. I think dentistry has been sort of kept away from it. When we look at laboratories, what we really are, we're really manufacturers. Yeah. Now, if you look at every other manufacturer in the world, they've all adopted CAD technologies and digital very quickly. Very, very quickly. And again, what's happened in their businesses is what we're seeing within laboratories. That's caused a kind of reassessment of where skills lie in that business. So if I've got a highly skilled ceramist, I want him just doing ceramics. My CAD team, or people who used to do wax, now retrain into CAD team. And then, print rooms. We don't have a technician in the print room. We have someone who loves 3D printing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to do the same. There will be some changes in laboratory and our industry, but the benefits are huge, and we are able to do more than we've ever done. I work as part, and I still sometimes can't get my head around it. When I first started, I worked in a plaster room like we all did. You work your way up. I work as part of a global team every day. I'm on the morning, I'm picking up, and I'm working with work that's been done from the guys in Mondale with my team over here. I just never saw that when I was, Ripon's a lovely part of the world.
You're in a plaster room
up in
and
the
now
Yorkshire
you're
Dales.
just receiving the digital scans over.
We just dealt with, if they weren't local, that was it. That was your limitation. Digital workflow allows us to work with anyone in the world, and it allows you as a lab to take work in from anywhere in the world. That's the key.
Yeah.
I just think it's not just about the products you make, it's about what this is going to do for you.
What's it going to do? And finally, you can stay clean in the lab. So
I know.
There's no dust.
If you look at Ashley Burns' lab, it looks like a design studio now. It looks like this beautiful building here. You come in, it's like, it looks like a kind of really nice professional environment. Well, do you know what? We have a crisis because we found it hard to recruit people to become technicians. But with all the work that we're going to do now, when we can showcase, look at these are the laboratories of the future, utilizing digital tools with the latest technology, changing someone's life, because that's one thing that's never changed. As a technician, as part of a surgical team, every job you touch has an impact on someone's life. And I mean that in a fundamental way, because you restore function as well as aesthetics.
Yeah.
So it's not like, going in and I've made, 1,500, motorbike parts. Yeah, they change people's lives because it makes people happier. You literally, if you work as a technician and part of this team, you are transforming someone's life, because some people, they lose their confidence when they can't smile or function.
You're making people smile.
So I've always said it, everything you do makes a fundamental difference to someone's life, and that is a real honour. Now, if we can grab, school leavers' imagination and not have them walk into the lab I walked into, it was monomer. I was high as a kite when I walked out, because it was the room was just full of the smell of monomer. There's plaster all over the floors. There's dust everywhere. They weren't a very inspiring place to go. Whereas now, like you say, they're clean environments. They actually are places, if you look at like Ashley's and where most labs now are taking their laboratories, there's somewhere you think, yeah, I want to work here. I want to do that.
And we touched on it earlier that, yes, there is less technicians coming in, but there's new jobs like workflow management.
Yes.
Exactly what you said with the printers.
Yeah.
Someone that runs your printers is not a technician,
No.
but he runs the printers perfectly, I imagine.
Yeah,
because that's what he does.
That's exactly what he does. You know, this is somebody we saw that what they were doing in their spare time is they were making these incredible models, absolutely outstanding, then finishing them, painting them, and selling them on Etsy. And I looked at that and thought, well, if someone loves it that much and really understands 3D printing, I need them in there because I need a skilled technician working on work. Or where we've seen a big drive now with Ian Baldwin, who I work with, he works in diagnostics. But with digital diagnostics, he can communicate so much more effectively. So a skilled technician should be working with the surgical team as if I'm here with you now. It's what we do with, Philip Friel's in Glasgow, Martin Wanendeya's in London. We've got people like Andy Denny who are even further south.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter to me because we communicate so efficiently now using the 3D tools. They're all looking at it and viewing it, and they're like, yeah, I get it. And they might even show it to the patient, like, well, what do you think? Now that means our acceptance rates go up as well. Less dead time.
It's the way forward. So
it's the only future.
Go digital, and there's no other answer really.
No, there isn't. I mean, look, if you don't go digital, I'm afraid, there is this huge shift happening. If you don't go digital, you will not have an efficient, effective future in the industry, I'm afraid.
Exactly. Well, Steve, thank you very much for the time, and hope everyone enjoyed it. So if you want to meet anyone, even Steve maybe, he might be over in the chat area on the Decoding Digital event. So thank you very much and have a good day. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, everybody.